Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ming Chen. I'm live here at the Shared Universe podcast studio, but I'm only here until this weekend when I head to Boise, Idaho for Gem State Comic Con. I'm here with the founder, the promoter, the man behind everything at Gem State Comic Con, Dave Hallworth. How's it going, Dave?
Ming, it's going fantastic here. How is it over there?
I'm ecstatic because I'm just like when you have that big calendar like in the movies you start making the X's. I've had a calendar for the last few months making the X's until the Saturday and Sunday, April 6th and 7th, when I get to head to Boise, Idaho for Gem State Comic Con. I can't thank you enough for the invite. I initially found out about Gem State through a fellow guest this year, Gigi Edgley, who we do a lot of shows together, and I'm like, hey, are you doing a con in Idaho? She's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, can you pass along the info for the crazy guy running it? Because I'd love to reach out to him. And I sent you a long-winded email. And in short, you're like, dude, we've met before. Come on down to Boise. So I can't thank you enough. I researched a lot of the past conventions. Looks amazing. And not for nothing, but this is Idaho's longest running Comic-Con and pop culture convention. So how many years have you been running Gem State?
Well, we started in 2019. The very first show was 2020 during the pandemic, and that was a virtual convention where we had a lot of great guests. And if you go to the website, if you press the About section, we have like an archive where you can see every single guest that has been to our events. And the reason is because we treat each event like it's a historical moment. So,
yeah, it is. What made you want to start a convention? I know you're a novelist. You're a comic book creator. You're obviously a fan. Probably been to a million conventions. What made you wake up one day and was like, I'm going to start a Comic Con? Because it is a very tough undertaking. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of unknowns, a lot of things you can't control, and not for nothing, but you got to put some money into it too. So you need bankroll, sponsors, all this. After kind of weighing all that, I think a lot of people like, maybe I won't do it, but and a lot of people don't do it. They talk about it, they don't do it,
right.
or they try to do it and they don't do it very well. But what made you decide to throw not only this convention, but you throw a bunch of other ones as well?
Running a convention, you're working an entire year for just one weekend. Unlike a conventional business where you're open every day. You're every day, you're getting business every day. Convention, you're working all year round, but you're open 2 days, 3 days out of the year. So, that's the difference, and that's what makes it so hard. But how I ended up getting started with all this is I used to be a guest at a lot of conventions, doing book signings, fantasy novelist, and my agent, Marina, her and I would go to the green room, see the inner workings of what happens, behind closed doors. And she just said to me while we were sitting at the table, she says, I think I can do one of these. And she is very business savvy. She's worked for European companies and British companies. And I said, well, I don't know if you can do this because this is difficult work. She goes, I think I can do it, and let me try. I said, well, if you want to run the business end, I know some comic book artists who are friends of mine, and I can invite them. And we started a real tiny show in Campbell, California called CampbellCon, and it was like 65 tables, and that blew up. It just blew up into something that the following year we had 3 different shows. And now we're at 6 shows in 4 different states. And I believe we're the largest in the West Coast. That's not a corporate entity, that's not, big corporate running conventions. And we're fan based. And the whole vibe is, I grew up in the 80s going to conventions, and we wanted to bring that back to the fans to feel what it was like in the 80s to be at a con, and that's the feeling you get from it.
That's awesome. I grew up in the 80s as well, so we probably went to the same type of conventions, church basements, VFW halls. The one I really like going to was held every other month. It was at the mall. They a bunch of vendors would just set up in the food court, but that was outside of a comic book shop, of which there weren't that many in my area. That was the only way to get back issues, or just see things that you didn't know existed, or maybe you knew existed, but you couldn't get in your area. And we had there was no eBay back then. There's no Amazon.
Right.
It Yeah, I mean, it was the only way to get something maybe that you were maybe missing, or maybe something that was put out but maybe not released in your area, was to go to a con and hope that one of the vendors, either mail ordered it or maybe bought it from a collection and was reselling it. So
Right.
that's cool. I've been to pretty much every convention here in the country. It's hard to get lost in some of these huge ones
Mhm.
where you kind of lose the feeling, the fun, really. A lot of them become very corporate, and it's like, hey, thanks for your ticket admission. All right, well, this is what we're giving you, and yeah,
Right.
it didn't feel the same as that. So I love that that you've stuck to that, and I want to use the term that you're bringing it back, but I don't think it ever really
It-
left. It just
yeah,
kind of got big and weird, and yeah.
yeah. It never truly left. In fact, when I was a guest for Wizard World. I did a lot of guesting at Wizard World events. And you're sitting there across from Billy D. Williams. One show, and across this person from another show, and when you're a special guest, you don't know how much it costs to get into a specific event. And Marina had found out that it's like $35 to $50 a person just to get in the door. And Marina was like, I want to create something that everyone could afford, where you can get in for 10 to 15 bucks, the price of a hot dog. You can get into a show and have a full fun weekend, where everyone can afford it. And in fact, we have a family pack online that a family of four, or four friends, four hobbits, can get can get for 35 bucks. And it's for, the whole, it's just great that four people can get in for $35. And it shouldn't be for people who make a lot of money. It should be for everybody, and that's what it's all about for us.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Not to mention families. You really something this like this. Bring your whole family. So most be family four or more, and yeah, you don't want to be out like $1 million before you even get in. Um,
Right. And we have a show in California that was in Pleasanton, and we moved it to Antioch this year because there was a lot of people, a lot of families out there that were saying to us and writing to us saying, there's nothing here for families to do together. So, I said, well, let's bring it. Let's have something. So,
that's
yeah.
amazing. You said you grew up in the Bay Area. Where are you now? And I'm my main question is why when did you pick Boise and why?
Well, I grew up in San Jose, California. If anyone knows where that is, it's heart of Silicon Valley.
Oh
I
yeah,
went,
for sure. Yeah, I have an aunt in Milpitas. I've been to Redwood City. It's maybe about 40-45 minutes south of San Francisco.
yes, I went to Del Mar High School. So in case there's any Dons out there, might be listening. But growing up in the late '70s, early '80s is a completely different time than it is now. And I just woke up one day and I didn't recognize the city that I grew up in. Everything that I knew was gone. And I really studied pretty much everywhere in the United States. And I was looking for a place that reminded me of San Jose, California in the '70s and '80s before corporate tyranny took over, with the Silicon Valley. And I looked at Boise and I said, wow, it's exactly like San Jose. So that's why we ended up moving here. We still have a headquarters in California. We have a headquarters in Oregon and in Nevada. So we still have 3 locations in each state that we service. So.
That's amazing. And part of the reason I love traveling the country and occasionally the world to go to Comic Cons, I love seeing what fandom is like in other parts of the world. What is fandom like in Boise? Are there comic shops there? I did a little research,
Mhm.
and if there are any comic shops sponsoring the convention, I'm definitely going to go visit that to support your
Yeah,
sponsors, of course. But
yeah.
yeah, what is in general? What is fandom like in Boise? Are there anime fans? Are there pop culture fans? I mean, I'm imagining the answer is yes, but I'm just trying to gauge the level.
Yeah, the answer is yes. The comic shops are out here. they're like the 80s. They haven't they still behave like the 80s, which is when there's a Comic Con, they feel a little threatened a little bit, because there's a Comic Con coming to town. But I'm always trying to get them to cross promote with us and help their business, because that's what we do, is we help businesses and we help communities. Because when you have a successful show, that helps nothing but the businesses around it: hotels,
Yep.
restaurants, shops. For Gem State Comic Con, we have people coming from all over the world, believe it or not, to Boise, Idaho. And what does that do? It just helps the economy. It helps the businesses. So you would think that you'd want to embrace it. But I remember in the 80s, how comic shops, when I was a kid, I used to sit and read comic books, and be in a comic shop for 8 hours, and the owner would let me do it, and that you'd become friends with these comic book owners. So I kind of understand, their thought process. But we're always very open and supportive of comic shops, even if they have the backwards mentality. But in regards to the fan base is very hot here. It's Star Wars, is huge here, and we do shows in 4 different states. So each state is different, each community is different, each thought process of fan base is different. And I didn't really think that until I started doing events in different states. So the attitude of pop culture in Boise is different than Oregon, and Oregon's different than Nevada, and so on. So for where in California, Star Wars is not so hot right now, but in Boise it's super hot. So when you're in a different area, you want to make sure you get the right celebrities or guests that fit that community. And Marina does a lot of R&D and a lot of analytics, and to get all this type of information, so we know what kind of guests that the people really want to see. And for Gem State Comic Con, our headliner is Sean Astin, who would fit any con. I mean,
Yeah.
he I think is the epitome and top of all of Comic-Con actor, fandom, celebrity guest, is because something like Lord of the Rings, it's all encompassing, very much like Star Wars.
Yeah, and he's at pretty much every genre and fandom. So Goonies, Rudy. I mean, yeah, the list is endless. And not only that, but he's got a really good reputation as just a great Comic Con guest. It's fun seeing the fellow Comic Con guests, like they get it. They go to conventions. They know what they're there for. They're there to give a moment to their fans and just have fun. And I Sean, yeah, Gigi, yeah, you got a lot of cool guests coming there, and I, that's how I want to embrace my kind of experience as well. I'll sit there and talk to you for 30 minutes if you want.
Yeah.
I'm just a big nerd who just wants to talk about nerd things with other fellow nerds. So and what better to do it at a place with thousands of other people coming in for sure.
Right.
The vendors, how many vendors do you have ballpark? Do you know?
Over 300.
Okay, which is insane. So,
Yeah, which is
and I imagine they're coming from all parts of the country. So,
yeah.
if you're looking for that hard to find collectible, you're probably going to find it at Gem State. That hard to find comic, that hard to find anything. Yeah, people are always like, how do you not go bankrupt going to all these conventions? And I tell people, listen, I pack a certain size suitcase, and my rule is I can only buy whatever I can fit in the suitcase. So
Yeah, for me, it's discipline. When I first started doing conventions, I was like, I would get autographs of all my guests. I would get photos with all my guests. And now you do it for so long. It's going on 10 years now. So you do it for so long. Now it's like, I don't take pictures with guests anymore. I don't ask autographs for guests anymore. I'm just so busy to
right,
do that. In the beginnings, even up to a couple of years ago, I would pick up every guest from the hotel and drive them personally to the event. I'm so busy now, I had to hire shuttles to do it.
yeah,
So it depends. I mean, would I like to enjoy the show? I mean, I look at Gem State Comic Con lineup, the celebrities, the vendors, the panel schedule. You, of course, who's going to be there is fantastic. And I wish I can go to my own show, but I can't.
yeah. You got
You know,
to. Someone's got to run it.
right? And it's like, boy, I wish I can go to this, and I told Marina, when you signed on to come to Boise State or Boise, I always say Boise State or Gem State, that for you to come to Boise was important to us because we feel with you was on the show Comic Book Men, you know your group of guys there on that show, you're really the epitome of the comic book culture. Really, I mean, Comic Book Men, it was a perfect title because that's what you are, and people have a lot of respect for you guys, and your opinions on comic books and fandom. And I told Marina, I said, well, you don't have a Comic-Con unless Ming Chen is there.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, so once you get here, we'll officially be,
I appreciate that. Which is funny is I was sitting there drafting this email that I sent to you, and I'm like, do I hit send? What if he says no? It's the same thing. It's the same nerd, like 80s movies. Like, what if what if he says no? Well, then it's like, if he says no, you're not losing anything, like.
right.
So luckily you said yes, and yeah, I'm excited to be out there. And as always, most conventions that I write to is like, hey, put me to work, man. Put me to work. So I have the extreme honor of hosting the cosplay contest at Gem State Comic Con. When is it?
The cosplay contest?
Yes.
4 p.m. 4 p.m. Saturday, 4 p.m. on Sunday, and there's 2 categories each day.
Fantastic. So yeah, I'll be ready to do both. I will be there. I think my friend and special cosplay guest, Larissa Page Cosplay, will be one of the judges. This is I so they used to ask me to judge the cosplay contest, and I'm like, listen. After a while, I was like, guys, I've sewed a patch on a jean jacket once that I learned how to do on YouTube, and I didn't do it very well, and I poked myself a million times. But I'm like, listen, I've never cut out a piece of EVA craft foam. I've never like molded Warblum. It's like I just didn't feel right judging people who put months into these costumes.
Right.
I was like, you know what, you should probably get one of the fellow cosplayers to judge, but I would love to host. And that's something I've been doing for a while now, and I that part I feel more qualified to do. So nothing makes me happier than seeing the level of cosplay in whatever area that I'm at. And I love that people are just so passionate about building these costumes. And, some of these cosplays look better than the ones on screen. Just because they have a lot more time, and the technology now is way more advanced. They didn't have like LED lights that could be powered by a cell phone battery pack, or that just this craft foam that you could pretty much make into anything and make it look like anything. So
Right.
It's pretty cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. So if you're coming to the convention, I believe you still have time to enter. 4 p.m. on both days. And I imagine there's some prizes involved.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you'll be able to enter at the day of the show. So you go to the panel room in the back. There's like a bar, and there'll be an attractive lady there taking names and
All right.
everything, getting things ready for that. It's the prize. The main prize is $500, and I mean, right, $500.
Yeah.
In this day and age, and a beautiful trophy that is in the shape of the state. So all our conventions, the first prize is the trophy with cash, but the trophy is always the shape of the state that it's in. So since we're in 4 different states, we've never had anyone to win the 4 different state prizes, which would be cool on the mantle for any cosplayer.
Yeah, for sure. If you're gonna do it, get some hardware out of it. So cosplayers out there, you got something, you got prizes to compete for. Bring your best, and I can't wait to see them for sure. So you mentioned 2020 was virtual, so I imagine you had an in-person one in 2021.
Yes, we did, and we were one of the first states to open back up. In fact, Idaho was only closed down for like a month. So, but we didn't want to do any events until things were starting to get in the clear and people were allowed to take off masks. We just want to make sure everything was safe. We went above and beyond the state, and we followed the CDC at the time because people's health and the community of the health is important to us. So that was Maine, and but we were able to do it, and it was a fantastic event.
That's awesome. Yeah, you don't want to go to a large event and get sick. So, um, and but at the same time, you want to have fun as well. So
Right, right.
that's
And
that's amazing.
our very first guest live was Sam Jones, who's a good friend. So
Good old Flash Gordon.
yeah.
Yeah, Sam and I get along very well. Even though first time I met him, I was like, "Hey, man, can we take a photo? Can you put me in a headlock?" He's like, "You
Mm.
really want that?" It was like, I'm like, "Yeah," and I had him. I had a poster. I was like, "Hey, can you send this debt to Ming? Because that's my name." He's like, "You really want that?" I was like, Yeah, I want that." So yeah, ever since then we've been at multiple conventions together, and yeah, what a great guy. So that's cool. What a great one of your first guests for sure.
Yeah,
I
he's a fun guy.
and I imagine since 2020 and the in-person event 2021, 22, 23 up to now, I'm sure you've grown. What was a big thing that you learned going from year to year in terms of making the con better? Maybe handling crowds. Was there one thing that you took away? It's like, oh man, that we could do this part better next year.
Yeah, each show's different, so we learned it's something different from each show. But for Gem State Comic Con, the first year to get into the door, it was a 3.5 hour wait, and the line was about a half mile long, and we had to learn. Okay, we need to speed up the line process. So now we have like 6 ticket windows to expedite and get people in there quickly. So
Awesome. Yeah, more staff, get people in quicker. Yeah, no one wants to wait to get in because the anticipation, my friends, is
right.
is great. All you want to do is get in there. But
And one
that's
thing about Idaho, it's the weather is, it is something where it could be sunny 1 minute, snowing the next, you know. So I didn't want to see people out there because you just don't know what's coming.
yeah, for sure. So while I will be in there with you guys and so celebrities, cosplay, vendors, and more. Uh I just can't wait to get out there. And
We have yeah, we have something special for you actually when you land. We have
oh
something
boy,
special for you. I heard, one thing I tried to do, but because you don't have a lot of time here, but maybe in the future when you come back, we can maybe add some free days for you to sightsee, and I can get you on the blue. So,
the blue, which means
which means the football field at Boise State
right.
University.
Okay. Somebody mentioned that. It's like, hey, maybe we get
Yeah.
in the blue field. And I remember the first time at Boise State, the football field's very blue. I remember the first time I saw it on TV, I thought my TV was broken. I was like, why is the grass that blue? And then
Right.
someone's like, no, 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 it's like that. Your TV's fine. You don't
Yeah.
need to chuck it out the window. So,
Yeah, Marina
yeah.
is an alumni, so she can get you
Uh,
on the field. So
yeah. One of the things I do is, in addition to going to the Comic Con, I love exploring whatever town I'm in, and I've done a bit of research. I'm looking forward to hitting a lot of stuff in Boise while I'm out there. There's a place that just has French fries, which makes sense with Idaho, and
everywhere, every place here has French fries.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, thanks for getting me out for sure. Big shout out to all your sponsors who support you, and we have the podcasters who are moderating all the panels as well. Can't wait to meet them. I've already been in contact with them, so they're looking forward to the whole weekend. Um, can you talk about your other conventions as well? I want to give them a plug as well. Can you remember all of them?
I will try.
Okay.
On May 11th, it's a first year show. It's called Beaver State Comic Con. It's in Bend, Oregon, and it's a first year event ever in Central Oregon. And we have the young lady from Neverending Story who played the princess. And if you remember a Neverending Story,
Oh yeah, for sure. I know. Yeah, I've met her at a couple cons. So yeah, she's awesome.
and the funny thing is she's working on a film right now with Sean Astin, so it was kind of interesting, And there's a lot of other great guests there too. And then after that, we have Powerhouse Comic Con in June. I can't give you the exact date on that. You can go to powerhousecomiccon.com, and that is in Antioch, California. And we have some great guests there too. Andy Merrill, probably going to be one of my favorites. He did the voice of Brack on the Brack Show, if you remember that, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force, all
Oh
that
yeah.
cool
Yep.
stuff. And then we have Silver Age Comic Con in July, and that's in Reno, Nevada. That's a great one because it's at the convention center, which is attached to the Atlantis Casino and Resort. And the guests enjoy it because they can gamble and have a good time before and after the event, and then just walk right into the next building, and then they're there. So I think I'll be seeing you there in the future at some point.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, I'm always here for you, my friend.
And then we have Metal Art Comic Con, which is in Medford, Oregon, and that is also in July. You can check the website for dates on that. And that has been around since 2019, and it's the only pop culture convention in Southern Oregon. It's become a facet of Southern Oregon. And it's a great show, and you can check out the website and go to the archive tabs and see everyone who has been at that show. And one thing I say to everybody who goes to Comic Cons, or who don't go to Comic Cons but they're thinking about going, I will say this: if you are tempted and you've never been to go to a con, any con in the world, doesn't matter what it is, and you see a celebrity that you like and you're on the fence about it, I'm telling you, don't be on the fence. Go see that actor, because they're not around forever. I'm telling you. When I saw John Saxon in LA, that was great to get his autograph and take a photo with him. And 2 years later, he's gone.
Yeah.
He passed. And my good friend Felix Silla from Buck Rogers, he was like a dad to me, and he's gone from us. So really, it's important, if you really want to see an actor, just if you just have a little hint of wanting to see one, just go see him. Really, it's probably the only chance you're ever going to get. And with our events, except for you, Ming, but for other guests, they only appear one time, and we never bring them back. So what does that do? You have to go see them then. Like, next weekend, you have to see Sean Astin, and you have to see Doctor Who Colin Baker. You'll never see him in the area ever again. So you have to come out to Gem State Comic Con. So our last show is Anna Medford, which is an anime event, and that is also in Medford, Oregon, and that is probably the hottest event in probably almost all of Oregon. It's a great anime convention. It's 2 days. It's very popular, and it's just so much fun. And the great thing is a water park on the premises. And a lot of the cosplayers like to dress up and take photos at the water park and things like that. It's just a great time. It's at a building called Rogue X. It's a very, very cool spot. So yeah, those are the events that we're having this year. Sorry, I don't have all the dates memorized because
No sweat.
No
sweat. Check social media. You can get all the dates for sure. So if you're anywhere near any of those cities, definitely go check it out for a great time. But if you're anywhere near Boise,
it's a must.
Come on down. It's gonna be the greatest party of the weekend. And oh yeah, I'm gonna be there as well. So definitely check out gemstatecomiccon.com. Tickets, info, and if you're interested in, hey, what guests are going to be there, artists or celebrity guests, that whole list is down there. And it's a great list. Sean Astin, Colin Baker, Spencer Wilding. You can meet Darth Vader. I mean, come on.
We have like 4 people that are from out of the country coming to Boise, so.
Yeah, it's amazing. And again, thank you for the invite. Yeah, I can't wait to get down there. And if you're coming down, come say hello to me. I'm I'll be there. I'll talk your ear off about whatever pop culture fandom that you're into, or whatever.
I will say this about you is, if you're into conventions, pop culture, it doesn't matter what it is, comic books, Godzilla, Captain America, whatever, Space 1999, whatever the genres, pulp, fiction, whatever it is, they have to speak to Ming Chen. They have to. I
For
mean,
sure.
you have to stop by at your table. I mean, you're really, I see you as an ambassador for pop culture. That's how I see you. And I think if someone's really into pop culture, they have to see you. That's my opinion anyway. So
Calling my mom right now. It's like, hey mom, I'm an ambassador. Like I'll just leave it at that. Doesn't she
there
doesn't
you go.
she's like for what? For Chinese US relations? I'm like, yeah, sort of. You could
Yeah,
say that. Yeah.
sure.
So what does that job pay? It's like, well, we'll talk about that later, but
You're right.
amazing. Well, I'm gonna try to make room for maybe a lightsaber or two. Maybe if I for any vendors out there with Star Wars Black Series out there. And again, cosplay contests 4 p.m. on each day. And yeah, come on out to the convention, everybody. If you've been watching this whole time or listening, uh, Dave is a true fan, and he runs a hell of a show. So I can't wait to get down
Thank
there.
you.
Is there anything I missed?
No, I think you covered it. I think all I
Okay.
would say is, uh, if you're from out of state, surrounding areas of Idaho, anywhere, come out to Idaho. It's a quick flight, no matter where you are in the states or Canada. I've traveled to England. I've traveled to other countries just to meet certain actors and go to certain conventions. If you want to meet Sean Astin, come out and do it. It's the only convention ever in the history and happening in the world where you can pay $10 and meet Sean Astin.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, $10 to meet Sean Astin, a legend in film, and Colin Baker, Doctor Who, and for him to be in Idaho, it's a historical moment because when he comes to America, he is only in L.A., Chicago, and Florida, and to have him in Idaho is very special, and it'll be the only time he's here. So, come on out and see an original classic Doctor for sure. But and if you haven't been to a con before, come. Gem State Comic Con is the best place to dip your toes in the water, and to have fun from age 0 to 99. Like they said behind me, the greatest show on earth. They said 0 to 99, everyone's going to have a good time no matter what.
I love it. And you're the PT Barnum. You're a showman, my friend, putting on the greatest show on earth.
I try.
Uh, this weekend in Boise, Idaho at Gem State, at Expo Idaho, gemstatecomiccon.com for tickets, info, anything you might need, or follow on social media at Gem State Comic Con. Dave, thank you so much. I'll see you in a couple days, my friend.
I look forward to it, and I know you're going to love it.
Can't wait. To everybody watching, come out, and I'll see you guys there. And thanks for watching, everybody.